So a lot of you know from previous videos that where I live now, I've not had a lot of issues with predators. So I'll let my chickens free range in the backyard a lot of times. But for some reason this past winter, I had a raccoon that just would not quit, and it was coming every night. So I had to start putting them in the chicken tractor to keep them safe, but that was not a good long-term solution. So I had to build me a critter-proof pen. A lot of you are like, well, I've always had to do that. Well, I'm just saying that now I'm stepping down into this lot in life like a lot of you commoners that deal with the predators. All I'm saying is I haven't had a big problem with them here until recently. But now I have a chicken pen. I'm not calling this finished, but let me show you what I did. I started out by building a basic frame. I put 4x4 posts on these outside corners. Now, these posts here, I have anchored to the brick wall. Thankfully, this building was here, so that gave me an already made wall, so I didn't have to build that fourth one. It saved me a little bit. So I framed everything in, and then after I got it framed in, I just took the existing chicken pen wire that I had, which is a 2x4 welded wire. It was 3 feet tall, so I double layered these wire panels. Now, it was only 3 feet tall because it was not meant to keep things out, since again, I was not having predator problems. It was meant to keep the chickens in, away from my garden. And then once the framing was done and the wire was on, I took pallet lumber, 1x6s, and enclosed this and the other end there, as well as make my door. I made it higher up off the ground here so that little chicks could not go through the wire and get out. That'll keep those in. Now my roof is a little bit interesting. Now it's OSB and plywood, but what I covered it with is a vinyl banner material. Now this is scrap vinyl banner material that I salvaged from a print shop, and all I did was roll it out on the roof, tuck it under, and staple it. And then as I layered it, I put a row of roofing nails across the top. Now I know what a lot of you are thinking about that. You're saying that'll last maybe a year and you're going to be re-roofing this. Well, I thought the same thing the first time I ever used this, because I used it as a temporary fix until I got some roofing. And I said, well, a year or two, I will have to put new roofing on my building. That building is still standing, and it's going on at least 10 years that vinyl has been up there and it does not leak. So this has been an incredible way to roof my little outbuildings, my animal pens, without having to spend any money. Most of this is made out of scrap material. The only thing that I really bought here was the wire, some screws, nails, and staples. But 2x4s, the 1x6s, pretty much all of this, the OSB, the plywood, all of that stuff that I salvaged off of pallets or just off of work sites or things like that. So out of pocket to build this pen, I put in a total of about $7 to buy some staples. Everything else I either already had from previous projects or I salvaged. The biggest thing is securing the wire. I had to make sure that nothing is going to be able to push the wire or get through. So I made sure all the gaps are sealed, and with the wire, I sandwiched it between some 1x6s, screwed those together so this wire isn't going anywhere. My door was one of the things that I was worried about, because you have to make sure that nothing can push the door in and squeeze through. So the way I secured this, a handle, I made this out of an old U-bolt. Again, salvaged it. This, some old hardwood flooring. These are some bolts, again, salvaged. So what I did was put the hardwood here and there, instead of just having one central latch here. I did this, that way I have something that keeps it from being able to be pushed here, and I have something that keeps it from being able to push in down here. This is Big Boy. He's a good rooster. I hadn't had any issues with him. His dad was mean. He's the mean rooster you saw in the videos. Big Boy replaced him. Now, I made this dividing wall right here so that I can separate them out if I need to. Either separate the chickens from one another, separate a young batch, or whatever needs to be done. I have that. And again, this door, salvaged. As I said, this is chicken ready, but it's not finished. Eventually, I want to put my rabbit cages across the back here. I'm going to do something more permanent with my food and water containers, but for now, those are just in here to make sure they have clean food and water. I'm debating on whether to make the nest boxes so I can access it from the outside. I don't know that I'm going to bother with that, simply because I'm going to want to come in here to check on rabbits and stuff anyway once I'm done. So I'll probably just attach them on one side of this divider wall and have the nest boxes here. Go ahead and get some eggs. The younger girls usually come out here and get these. They enjoy doing that, but I'm going to go ahead and get them while I'm here. My younger ones are very helpful on this kind of stuff. They like to feed the animals. They like to gather the eggs. They're not quite old enough that I'll let them do those chores on their own without following up behind them. But enough so that if I'm out here doing stuff, they can get it done, and all I have to do is come back and take a look, make sure everything's good. You'll see these brackets. I got these black brackets along here to hold the wire. What you should do with this, if you're purchasing materials, you should get you large flat washers. That way it'll hold down flat and snug, and that's a good way to do it. Why did I use these black brackets? Because they were salvaged and I didn't want to buy washers. If you haven't been around the channel long, you will soon realize that I scavenge a lot of stuff and I recycle a lot of materials. Salvaged. Not only does it save on the cost, but it reuses a lot of things that would just go to a landfill. That is not always an easy route. You have problems that you run into, such as the pallet wood. It's hard to get off the pallet, which is time consuming. And then you'll have staples or nails in it, which you have to watch for when you're cutting. Otherwise, you'll hit it with your blade. Some things, there's just a learning curve on how to use it. So it can be more time consuming. It'll cost you time to recycle stuff and salvage. So if you have more time than you have money, that's maybe a good way to go. If you don't have a lot of time and you have plenty of money, it's probably a good use of your money just to go ahead and purchase new materials and make it easier on yourself and quicker to build. You just have to keep in mind the cost on the environment, on what's the best use of the resources in light of the waste that it will produce. I don't always have projects for it, which can be a problem. So I have limited myself to things that could be useful on multiple fronts, not things that I would need for a specific project, but I do take a lot of stuff in and wait for a purpose. And something like these brackets, where I've had them for years, didn't have a use for them, not a specific project, but now I've used them and they've done a good job. So this pen is 8 by 16. I don't have a whole lot of chickens, so they have plenty of room inside. However, it's not an ideal situation in my mind for them to stay in this pen all the time. I will let them out to free range on some stuff, especially during the winter time. The problem is I can't let them out while I'm growing stuff because they'll get in the garden and destroy it. So if you're planting a garden, you've got chickens, just know they don't mix. It doesn't matter how pet you think they are. No, it doesn't mix. So to solve that problem, I'm going to come here to this post and I'm going to put me a fence from here to that chain link fence over there and install me an automatic door here. And once I clean all of this stuff out on the side here, I will close it in up at the front. That way they can come out during the day and use this as a run. I'm not very concerned about them hopping the fence and going into the neighbor's yard. They're a heavier bodied chicken and they're just not going to fly unless they're really motivated to do so. They'll hop up on a roost, but as far as getting on the fence, if you keep them happy, I've not had a problem with that. The only time I would have a problem is if there's too many chickens and they're running low on resources and they feel the need to go out. Otherwise, they'll stay within this fence. Now, if for some reason they prove me wrong and I have a problem with them, I will have to come back and maybe put some kind of material up to this building. But in order to do that, I'd have to cut down all that bamboo, and I don't know if I want to do that. So that's it for now. I'll show you guys the other projects for this as we go along. But in the meantime, they are happy, they're safe, I'm happy, and now I can get started planting my sugar snap peas, which are about 2 weeks overdue because I couldn't plant them until I finished this. So on to that project. If you guys enjoy this content, make sure you like and share it with other people, and then subscribe and turn on notifications so you can see what comes out next. And make sure you watch this video next. And if you haven't already, check out the links in the description below and ways that you can support us and help us to do what we're doing. And we appreciate you so much. We'll see you guys next time.